Hey, y'all, gravity. Any day above ground, live it. I should not be this energetic at 9 a.m., but I heard this morning, family. I said, I got to get me a piece of this and bring it to the family because we all know we don't listen to the Breakfast Club. We don't. Breakfast Club is a coon fest. We know this, but they brought on Tezlyn Figaro, where they're losing some of their fur. They've done this. And especially this will be important for the 2024 election cycle. We need people that are for the interests of Black America talking to these candidates. It would be nice. I think it would break the internet. I need Trump to go on there and then come see me and TD Hip Hop Media. Shout out to TD Hip Hop Media. I was on his show Thursday. Vivek Ramaswamy, or what y'all like to call ramen noodles. I call him Vivacious. So together I said we're going to call him Vivacious Ramen Noodles because he is a 3-minute candidate. I don't see him passing the first debate. I don't see it. Family, this fool went on the Breakfast Club and thought, okay, I've driven through Philly. I went to Chicago, got a haircut. I go online and talk about Black people every 3 videos. This will be a cakewalk because, of course, Charlemagne got told by Joe Biden, if you don't know if you're for me or Trump, then you ain't Black. So he figured it'd be a layup. No, but this is going to be fun. But before we start, let's see who's in the building. Black Light Revelations, hello. Torian Rain, hello. And thank you, Torian, for becoming a member. It's only 99 cents, folks. It's only 99 cents. This helps support the platform and helps the baby get some gifts because the baby is asking for girly stuff and I got to pay for it. Anyway, Quatman, good morning. Hello to the stream elements bot, and I know the Nightbot somewhere lurking. Judah Queen, good morning. Cameron Jones, good morning. Yes, the Supersonic, yes. McFat, good morning. JB Easy, good morning. And 007 Spidey, good morning. And DSA1, good morning. We got to get into this, but you know how I do things. I'm not going to give them the view and the watch hours. We don't do this here on the platform. We do this. And Maxwell Jenkins, hello. And Carla Lockhart, hello. We download
that ass up.
We download videos here. We download videos here. We don't give them views. Family, strap in because this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun.
Get that water. He about to get this work. He about to get this work.
Morning. The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Charlemagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club. Tezlyn Figaro is with us this morning.
I can't wait to see you attempt this name.
And we got a special guest in the building, Vivek Ramaswamy. Did I say it right?
That's actually pretty good. It's better than most hosts. Yeah, it's like Ramaswamy, like CD-ROM, but yeah.
What I said, Ramaswamy.
Yeah, you got it.
Ramaswamy. Well, good morning.
He already called him bro and corrected his name. We already know where this is going.
Good to see you guys.
How you feeling?
You too.
Feeling good, guys.
You're running for president.
I am.
Running for president. You're actually polling third behind Trump and DeSantis right now. The latest Fox poll shows you.
Awesome. But you could fill in the...
Because he's against Black people. That's why.
Against that backdrop, the fact that I'm ahead of a vice president and a bunch of U.S. senators and a former U.S. ambassador and governors is honestly ahead of where I expected to be right now. Our goal was to be in third by the end of the year. And then you have the Iowa caucus, and then you have the New Hampshire primary. And the fact that you go those early states in order makes it possible for an outsider like me to actually do this because we spend a lot of time getting to know people in those states. And so it's going to be a steady process. The debates, I think, are pretty key. They start in August. I'm qualified for the debate stage already. I tend to like settings where we're debating. So
this is good. Because you're going to get cooked. And we're going to like it. Somebody pour that hot water. Get it on them noodles.
Hopefully that goes well. And, we'll see where this takes us.
Does
Why should
anybody
people-
who's not a white male really stand a chance of being a Republican? Not me.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that there is
They
this.
don't seem like they're open to that kind of diversity.
I'll be honest with you. I travel the country. I have not really experienced meaningful racism from.
Hey, Quatman, I like this comment. You said, please break down his connection to the World Economic Forum and the Soros Foundation. I did that a while ago. I forget. I think it was on a live stream. I did it on a live stream where we showed that he got money from Soros. But we can do this again in more detail. Be here Monday when I break down the AAPI response to the affirmative action debacle. Y'all are going to love that one. But back to the video.
Grassroots conservative audiences for the last
McBride, good
several
morning.
years that I've been, since I stepped down from my business career. That was a different world I was in. But for my book tours and everything else, and then now for this campaign, traveling the country, it's funny. That's the impression that you get from the media, meeting people from Iowa, Ohio, Michigan, New Hampshire. I don't see that at all. In fact, I just see a hunger for substance, ideas, what's actually going to make the country better. I am very encouraged by that. And I think that more people should. I mean, I used to live here in New York as well. And I'm not saying this about you guys, but I remember for me, you get trapped in a bubble. When we get out of that bubble.
Moncks going to South.
So we already have a shot at black folks. Trapped in a bubble. What? Vivacious. Black people are very aware of what goes on out here. I know in New York we're blinded by Tim's and Aki sandwiches, but we're very aware of what goes on in the world. Just wanted to give you that little bit.
Carolina.
Well, perfect. Well,
Yeah,
South
so I
Carolina.
know.
South Carolina. When did you grow up there?
My whole life. I didn't move to New York till 2006. So I understand exactly
2006.
what you're saying.
But I actually think a lot of what I'm saying is specific to. I think the country is in a different place today, even than it was in the 90s and 2000s. I grew up in Southwest Ohio in the 1990s. Very different environment than it is today. But anyway, I mean it as a good note. I don't think that there's some sort of racist obstacle in the mind of Republican primary voters. Actually, if you look at the Republican field.
How does he tell this lie? How does he tell this lie? There's no racism in the Republican. So just because they have different faces that are not old white men and stupid white women, you think this is diversity on their side? Sir, they're all the same. They're all the same. They all believe black people can't succeed, and they all believe that they'll never get black votes. The fuck? All right, go ahead, Vivek.
Even some of those other people on that poll you were mentioning. I mean, Tim Scott, Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley, yeah.
Go down the list. I mean, there's even others as well. Larry Elder.
Quatman, he actually that's probably the GOP. That probably wasn't him.
Black man's running. I mean, I think we'll see who ends up succeeding. But whoever it is, I don't think it's going to be a racial bias that holds me back.
Why should people vote?
Yeah, so I'm somebody who is coming in as an outsider to the system. And I think in the White House, when it comes to the White House, if we really want to reform a lot of the corruption in government, it is going to take an outsider to get that job.
Move this man!
First millennial ever to run for president as a Republican.
So you just gonna take Trump playbook? All right, go ahead.
And I think I have a view on our generation of what's going on in the country, where we are all so hungry for a cause, for purpose and meaning and identity. But the things that used to give us that sense of purpose, faith, patriotism, family, hard work.
There go that God, country, and family again. There you go. That's MAGA, God, family, country. Boy. Yes, that was me, Torian. Oh my God, this guy. This guy.
These things are out. And that's why we latch on to fill in the blank. I mean, in conservative circles, a lot of us will point to wokeism, gender ideology, the climate cult,
Cameron Jones, be
COVIDism.
nice.
But you could fill in the blank with depression, anxiety, drug use, suicide. I think these are symptoms of a deeper hunger for purpose and meaning in our country. And so in some ways, I'm running as a member of my generation to say that we can fill that void with the things that actually give us.
Sir, you don't represent our generation. Up until 2020, nobody heard of you, sir. Technically 2022, nobody heard of you. You were a biotech founder who was making allegedly money, paid off by Soros. Nobody knew you, sir. All right? Nobody knew you. You're placating to white folks that do not like black people. Let's just get that out the way first. We're not doing this today. You figure you're not going to get any black votes, so you might as well just go scorch earth. Hopefully you can try to take away Trump and DeSantis' white votes. That's all you're doing. Again, you punk, come over here to New Black Media. You ain't going to say none of this. You not going to say none of this. Because we're going to ask you about your black stances and what you've said. You're not going to say any of this. You're going to cop please like my 3 p.m. video. That's all I'm going to say. You're going to cop please, but that's okay. Go ahead. Keep talking.
Real purpose. Revive family in America. That's actually a big part of my platform. It's what allowed me to achieve success. My parents gave me a great family foundation. I didn't grow up in money. We're trying to give that to my 2 kids as well. I want that to be enjoyed by Americans across the country. Belief in the country, national pride. Less than 16% of Gen Z even says they're proud to be an American. I'm not making this one up. This is about a month ago. There was a good survey. 60% of young Americans said that they would sooner give up their right to vote than to give up access to TikTok or other social media.
Because y'all don't make it fun. Y'all don't make it cool to learn about politics. They just see y'all bitching on TV all day. That's all they see. Y'all got to make politics fun.
That's a problem. So I think we have a crisis of national pride.
Whose fault is that, though? That's America's fault. That's the system's fault for constantly failing the people.
Well, you know, I see it. I see it less about. We can allocate the blame. We can talk about allocating the blame. I think there's blame to go around. I think it's up to all of us to take a long, hard look in the mirror and ask ourselves, what is that vacuum in our heart? It's an old saying that goes, if there's a hole the size of God in your heart and God does not fill it, something else will instead. I think the same applies for belief in a nation as well. So I think what's
like Soros' money with you
going on is we're human beings. What makes us different from animals is that we can believe. We need to believe in something bigger than ourselves. And when we lose God and family and country, we start believing in new false gods instead. That's what's going on in the country. And so I don't know that it's so much a question of fault, but more a question of how do we actually revive our sense of self-confidence and pride.
It's definitely a question of fault. I can absolutely blame white supremacy, 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
See, say more, and then I'll respond to that.
I mean, just look at the history of the country. Like, it's just really just that simple for me. The country has never fulfilled its promises of freedom, liberty, and justice for all. It's always been freedom, liberty, and justice for some. And usually that some is white people.
So here's what I would say in response to that.
Go.
That is obviously true that the nation has fallen short of our promise since our founding. But walk through some obvious facts about America.
Here we go.
We're not founded on an ethnicity or a monarch or a food or even a religion. We're founded on a set of ideals that brought a group of people together in 1776, and we live by those ideals. At least we aspire to those ideals today.
That stupid statement is going to be highlighted later.
that aspires to ideals that's not made up of gods, but made up of human beings, will always fall short of those ideals. So I think our worst hypocrisies as a country, and we have many of them, our worst hypocrisies are our best evidence that we have ideals at all. You take a look at other countries. Nobody ever calls the Chinese Communist Party a hypocrite, or China a hypocrite, or Iran a hypocrite. Why is that? Because to be a hypocrite, you at least had to have ideals in the first place.
But a lot of
and so we're imperfect, but we are about the pursuit of a more perfect union, the pursuit of happiness. America's about the pursuit. And so I think that trashing ourselves, I think we are, actually.
The reason I say that is because, we never were included in those ideals originally.
Originally. Yeah. But never and not originally are two different things. Originally, that's true. Over 250 years of progress, if you had somebody who was in 1870 looking at the world we live in today, if you had somebody in 1960 who was looking at the world we live in today as it relates to race in America, we would be darn close to what they would have thought of as the promised land. So I think we have to recognize that America is about that pursuit. We're a lot further along than we were 250 years ago. And here's the other thing, too. We got to set our expectations. We will always fall short of our ideals. By definition, if there are human beings and not gods living in a nation that aspires to ideals, we are fallen. Man is fallen. That's what makes us who we are. But what also makes us different from animals is that we have ideals. So America's founded on our humanity, that we can believe and aspire to something that we will still fall short of. That's what makes this country beautiful. And that's why that's why I'm in this. You ask me, why am I in this? I care about reviving pride in that nation, because if we get into the habit of just bashing that country, what are we bashing? We're bashing the last best hope that man has for aspiring to those ideals. Tell me who else has done better. I'll wait.
I don't think I'm bashing the country. I think I'm bashing the system. Mostly.
Okay.
I want to change. I want to change the system.
Well, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I'm with you on changing the system. It's what brings me into this.
And what's your thoughts on some of the people that you're running against, Donald Trump and DeSantis? What are your thoughts on them and their leadership and what they've done for the country so far?
I think everybody's made their respective contributions. I respect some things about what each of them have done. I think the Republican Party, I tell this to conservative audiences all the time, obsesses over the question of the who. Ronna McDaniel, she was the chair of the Republican Party versus somebody else, or Kevin McCarthy or somebody else, or Donald Trump or somebody else. This is a superficial discussion versus actually just taking a step back. And the Republican Party does not do this enough. What do we stand for? And why do we stand for it?
Oh, good God. Oh, good God. I see why Tezlyn cooked them on civics. I see this now. Sir, the Republican Party has been telling you since they stole it from black people what they stand on. They want to be the elite white people. They don't want to serve the black folk, which is why they don't come to our neighborhoods and talk to us. They want racial purity. They have told you this. Just like the Democrats have told you this. They both want racial purity, and that racial purity is Anglo-Saxon. It is Aryan. They use you colored folk as crash test dummies. The fuck? Oh, Miss Tezlyn, salute to you. Salute to you. I appreciate what you did with this. We're going to get to that part. Don't tell Charlamagne and them that I'm playing this video, though, because they flag it. But I appreciate your service. Both military and what you did on the show yesterday. Shout out to you. But back to this. Vivek, come on. You know better than this, sir. Did you ever study this party before you put an R next to your name? You probably did. Let's just go back to the video.
Actually, a lot of my criticisms are also directed at the fact that we define ourselves. When I say we, I'm running as a Republican, but as a party in opposition to something. All right, that's what Joe Biden did. That's what the radical left does. And race, gender, sexuality, climate. I'm opposed to a lot of these ideologies of identity, but the right falls into the trap of just saying we're not those things. And then we'll fight about which biographies win. Oh, I'm actually a bigger and more accomplished person than you, and I'm going to sling mud at you. Versus asking the question of, what do we actually stand for? For me, it's about individual, family, nation, God. You can agree or disagree, but at least that's a vision that's different from a vision of identity grounded on race and gender and sexuality and climate. And so that's a long way of saying, I guess, what I see as deficient in the field, and entire Republican field, including candidates you mentioned, is they're all running from something. And I'm in this race because I want us to run to something.
Sir, you ran from the fact you took Soros money. You ran from the fact that now they're putting out data that your company didn't make money. Sir, all of this is going to come up in 2 months. I need you. Oh my. He's a politician, folks. He lying already. Sir, you don't think Trump and them are digging up things on you right now? Man, you. All right, go ahead.
What is that something?
A vision of what it means to be American.
Okay?
Revive the ideals of 1776. Revive the truth, meritocracy, excellence, freedom of speech, rule of law. A radical idea. This is not a Democrat or Republican idea, that the people we elect to run the government ought to at least be the ones who actually run the government. That's not the case today. You want to talk about fixing the system. You want to talk about one of the myths where we fall short of our ideals. We're taught in school that we have 3 branches of government. They're irrelevant compared to who actually runs the government. It's a 4th branch of government of 3-letter agencies in Washington, D.C. That is a formula for corruption. Corruption we get. That's a system we need to break down.
Who are those 3?
I mean, you could go down the list. SEC, FDA, EPA, TSA. The tens of thousands of government bureaucrats working in Washington, D.C., they're the ones who actually make the laws. It's not Congress. And that's a formula. And those people aren't elected. Nobody elected them. They're protected by these what are called civil service protections, which means even the president, technically, under many people's beliefs, can't fire them. That's the permanent state, what many in the right will call the deep state. I think that's a problem. I think that falls short of our ideals. I think the same FBI that threatened Martin Luther King with suicide on the back of incorrectly collected tapes is now committing, I would say, hypocrisy and corrupt actions against people of a different political persuasion that the FBI doesn't like today. I just think it's a formula for corruption when you have unelected bureaucrats that are actually setting policy. But that's a detail compared to my point, which is we need to revive the ideals that the nation was actually founded on and do a better job of aspiring to them.
Now we have Tezlyn.
Sir, now we're about to get to what Tezlyn did. She was cooking. But sir, would you like to explain this? And I'm going to put it in the chat for reference later. Okay, sir. I need you to explain this for the family real quick. Sir, can you explain this? And this is the left. The right even reported on this. You paid to get your Soros connection erased. You paid for that. But okay. But you have the nerve to talk about the deep state. Okay. I guess you should get your money back because they didn't do a very good job. They only did it on your Wikipedia page. They didn't call up Soros and say, can you delete this page? Yeah. Way back in 2011. So you've been a plant. You are trying to be the Manchurian candidate. Yeah. Sure. Back to the video.
Figaro, I'm sure Tezlyn has some questions. Tez, you good?
Yes, I do. So I've heard a lot of, what you think and your vision, and I'm a very practical person, and I want to kind of opposed to talking about
Hollywood
your opponents.
2000.
Let's
Hello,
talk about
you
you
see
for a
me.
moment, and let's actually talk about your policy. Explain to me your position on this civic duty voting.
Sure. So my position is, I think that every kid who graduates from high school should know the minimums about the country that we require an immigrant to know about the country in order to become a citizen. So there's a test. My mom had to pass it. Every immigrant has to pass it to this country that asks you some basic questions.
What about your daddy?
What are the three branches of government? What branch of government does the U.S. president lead? Some basic questions about what is the Bill of Rights. It's like a multiple choice exam, or some of them you write in. I think that if we're going to ask immigrants to pass that test, as we should, I think every 18-year-old who graduates from high school should have to pass that as well, because young people, it goes back to that issue of pride. You don't value a country that you don't know something about. You don't value something you inherit. You value something you have a stake in creating, in building, or knowing something about. So how do we think big about this? Well, young people, as I told you, most of them, very few of them vote as it stands today. Super small numbers. And apparently 60% of them say they would rather give up their right to vote than give up TikTok. Well, I say, all right, let's take that to the next level. How about we do something that raises the voting age from 18 to 25, but you still get to vote at 18. Mm-hmm. If you just pass that same civics test that an immigrant has to pass in order to vote.
Man, an 18-year-old. Vivek is so stupid. Sir, a typical 18-year-old went through 12 years of testing. Then they're going to go to a college or a university or a trade school. They're going to have to do tests there again. You're telling me that you're in favor of an 18-year-old who wants to vote. They have to go pass a civics test. Why don't you just have civics classes back in these high schools and middle schools? That way we can eliminate the problem. Change the curriculum. Stop sucking off these teacher unions and change the curriculum. But you don't want that because you would have to include, and listen to me good, y'all would have to include what y'all did to black folks, which, DeSantis and them are trying to get rid of. Yeah, that would be so nice to have black kids learn that they had to go through hell on earth just to get the right to vote, some of them. And the actions that led up to that and the aftermath. I don't think you guys want to have that conversation with them black students. I don't think you want to look at them while you're writing stuff on the board as you say that. And they learn that. I don't think you want that. But okay. You're gonna be that guy. Well, let's see what Tezlyn did. We'll hear it because I'm not giving them any views.
And tests aren't for everybody, so be it. Then you at least serve in the military or a first responder role for 6 months. That's my civic duty.
And that's when Tezlyn said, she shuffled her papers and said, I got this motherfucker. Whoo.
Voting proposal. And the reason is, I'll actually make a prediction. I think youth voting in this country will skyrocket. From a very low level right now, it will skyrocket because you value something you actually have to earn. And I think that this is not a left-wing or right-wing point. We all have duties as citizens, right? We aspire to free market capitalism, right? Materialist advance. And that's the life I've lived as well, by the way. My parents came to this country with not a lot of money. I've lived the American dream. I've made a lot of money by building businesses. That's one side of what it means to be an American. But part of it is we also have duties to this country. And I think the more we wake that up, actually, the voting age only became 18 in 1971 in the context of the Vietnam draft. So I just think reviving those ideas is going to be good for us.
A lot. So let's prove your point. Nick, our camera guy, do you know the three branches of the federal government?
Over 24, so it don't matter.
But I'm just saying, but nobody knows there are 24. Red, do you know the three branches?
Executive.
Well, I got a test. I would like to see if you're willing to pass.
Hold up. Hey, Charlamagne, you ain't supposed to help you fail, Negro.
Because I believe in, just as you believe in civic engagement, I believe in changing the ideas of what political opponents look like, what they should look like, or political candidates. Are you willing to take a test with me quickly? Because I just have a couple of questions for you.
I will, absolutely.
So
and the way this is opening up, I have a feeling I'm about to fail it, but that's good.
I think that's the first truthful thing he said all day.
What the hell? What the?
Let's do it.
That's right. Yeah. So just for clarity, I am an independent. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican.
Cool.
I think that's important for the premise of the argument because I know you did a lot of debating at Harvard. I also want to make it clear these are the same questions that I asked liberal Democrat Marianne Williamson. So I want to make sure that we put that out there as well, just
Fair
to kind
enough.
of set the foundation.
I'm
for the
open
test.
to being humbled. Let's do this.
Okay, great. Let's go. So you mentioned, the pride of being an American and how important it is to have pride in this country. I'm also a veteran, by the way,
Thank you.
for the United States Air Force. So when is it that you voted for the first time?
I voted in 2020.
Okay, so you're how old again?
I'm 37 years.
Family. He's my age. I started voting in 04. Sir, how do you just vote in 2020 for the first time? Wait a minute. I got to back it up. I got to back it up. Sir, how did you just vote? You're 37, so you were born in my year, roughly. Maybe 86. Maybe 84. Sir, how did you just vote 3 years ago? But you want to be president? And Tezlyn asked the same question. How you gonna ask the American people to put their trust in you when you just voted for the first time? Do you not see what they did to Kaepernick when he admitted he voted for the first time in 2016? Are you serious right now? You can't be serious. And we're supposed to take you. Tezlyn, I'm gonna let you have it.
Years old.
So for how many years you sat around and did not get involved at all in any civic engagement? Is that my understanding?
A long time is the answer. And actually, that's what I wrote this book about. I'm not holding myself out as some.
You wrote a book, but you didn't vote to get somebody competent in the White House. You voted, you wrote books, but you couldn't get somebody locally to make sure that your interests in your town are met. You created a company, elicited funds from private and public sectors, but you never voted until 2020. Say less.
Some sort of model. I'm actually offering myself as a self-reflection of my journey as a citizen to whom this country has given much, right? As an adult, when you have kids, it changes your perspectives. I'm very honest about that. Absolutely.
Okay, no problem. So let's go deeper into the self-reflection. So you've sat around for, and sir, I'm being as respectful as I possibly can. Please don't take anything
and you don't even have to be. And you don't even have to be. So take it off and let's go.
So you've been sitting around in the country that my ancestors built for about 20 years. Your parents came over as immigrants, brought you over. You made millions, according to your resume, off of this country. And you have absolutely not been involved in civics. One, not voting. And two, let me just ask, because I know you mentioned earlier, you don't want to sit around at the debate and talk about accomplishments. Let's make the accomplishments pretty simple. In high school, were you ever a class president or take?
Quick question before I let Tezlyn cook some more. So he just said that when he had his kid, his priorities changed. I feel you on that. Sir, you've been married for 8 years. How do you look at your wife and not vote? Because any decision that this country makes is going to affect her too. You can't exactly hide everything or protect her from everything. So you didn't have enough respect for your wife. And I'm not dissing your marriage. I'm not doing that. I just have a question. How do you fix that in your mind to say, I'm not going to vote to make sure that my wife has equal protections, or at least she can function in this society? Knowing the background that both of you two have, you're from immigrant backgrounds, especially with what Trump said. That should have spurred you at least. to vote in 2016, but you waited till 2020. Okay, cool. Got it.
Any leadership role? Because your opponent did, Chris Christie. He was the class president. So
Yeah, I
have you
did.
ever
I
taken
mean,
any leadership at all on
I have,
anything, or just?
Can I just correct a couple factual things
Sure,
that are kind of important? My parents didn't bring me over to the country. I was
Okay,
born in
scratch
this
that off
country, and
then.
I'm proud
No,
of that.
no, I know
That's-
you were born here in Ohio.
Yeah.
Ohio.
You mentioned my
I'm
parents
saying your
brought me
parents
o-
were
You
immigrants.
said-
My apologies.
and that's all right. You said your parents brought you over to this country. I
Yeah,
thought I
my
would set that
apologies.
record straight.
I mean, they were immigrants, but let's
They
not
were
go down the
immigrants.
water
Oh,
hole.
no, we're not going to water hole. I just want to correct a couple facts.
That little exchange right there is what I saw on Twitter yesterday with all the tethers who got mad at the decision. That's exactly how they sounded.
And then the other thing
And
is,
you were born here in Ohio.
I was
correct?
born in Cincinnati, Ohio. That's right.
Right. So
Yeah.
you've been here your entire life. So the question
That's
is, did you take any leadership role in middle school, high school, class president?
I did.
I know
yeah.
you played tennis. What is it? Explain it to us.
Student council. But I think that this is yes, I've held leadership roles over my life, but those don't qualify me to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah,
That's
it kind of
just-
does.
Okay,
Well, it
well,
kind of does. Well, I'm giving the test. I'm the test
Okay,
administrator.
all right, there you go.
So it kind of does, because when you go from saying I want to go to the highest office,
And I'll tell
of
you,
the land-
I've led companies as well. Is the other.
Is this your game?
And I want to talk about one early part of your premise that I also want to say, to bring it to the country point. The other point, you use the word sitting around. I'm not somebody who's saying I want the next generation, my kids' generation, to have more civic duties when they graduate from high school and college than I did when I did. That being said, I wasn't sitting around. I've developed medicines, 5 of which are FDA-approved products today, one of which is a life-saving therapy in kids, 20 of whom die by the age of 3 if they're not treated, 70% of whom now live lives of a normal duration. Another one for prostate cancer. So I don't apologize
excuse
for
me,
making
sir.
contributions. But
right. Well, I don't want you to filibuster that,
No worries.
because
Just
that's not the
sitting-
question that I asked. And I don't consider, as a veteran, I'm talking about service. I'm not talking about what you
Civic
did for
service,
profit. I'm not talking about what you paid people to do with your
So
company. I'm not talking about
I've
that.
not served.
I know about 30
Shut your face right now.
Yo, fam. Okay, we got to start a petition. Tezlyn Figaro she got to do one of the debates. She got to do the second Republican debate. She got to do it. Son, my man, Torian, I blame you for this. This is what my man was doing.
The agreement lays out a framework for the withdrawal of American forces in Iraq, a withdrawal that is possible because of the success of the surge.
جنوده وجنود الولايات المتحدة والمدنيين فإننا نقترب كثيرا من هذه النهاية.
شكرا جزيلا.
He dodging. Oh, this is great. Back to the video.
The country
Because that
in the way
means
you
nothing
have.
to me.
You do
what I'm
realize
talking,
she
what
hasn't
I
been
am
able to ask a question. She's been trying to
Go
ask
for
a
it,
question,
yeah.
and you've been talking over her.
I'm
and
all ears.
We gave you the platform to let you say.
was a
I'm
little
all ears.
defensive.
I'm all ears. No,
She
I
hasn't-
was just
she
correcting a
hasn't
couple
had a chance
facts.
to
That's
ask a
all.
question yet. Every
Go
time
ahead,
she
Ted,
tries
ask
to
the
ask a
question.
question, you've been cutting her off. Good.
I'm all ears.
Right. So your question. So my question again is: you're trying to your goal is to raise the standard, and you're saying you want people to believe in country, and you want people to have civic engagement. And sir, I just find it very telling that you haven't had any civic engagement at all, and haven't been at all. And when I say sit around, I don't mean you haven't done anything. I'm talking about in regards to service. Because one thing about political office, the same way that you want to change how people look at politics and look at this country, I want to change how people look at politicians. And when I see that someone hasn't did anything at all to be of service to mankind, to take a leadership role, it's not good enough to just be on city student council. Were you a leader? All of that applies. Have you been able to get anybody in the room at any time, from a high school gymnasium to Ohio, Republican leadership there to now? Have you been able to get anybody in a room to believe in this vision? I don't agree with a lot of your vision statement, but I do know you've been going around having these discussions and getting everybody emotionally worked up to talk about vision and debate. But I want to get to the practical. You're trying to go go from preschool to president of the United States. You're skipping over city council, county council, mayor, governor. You want to go straight to the top. So my question is this a PR? Is this for the PR, the perception of reality? Or can you point to any leadership where you've been able to get people to believe in what you're talking about that they're not paid to do on any of these vision statements that you have? If not, then to me, it's a moot point, because you're holding a standard that you haven't met yourself.
So if you're only going to count government service, you're absolutely
no, not government
right.
service.
Okay.
Student council in the 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th. Were you a leader? Did you do anything to rally anybody? Did you fight for better lunch? I did in the 6th grade with Miss Harris. I'm not talking about government. I can go all the way back from the 5th grade every year, sir, because people who are in service to this country, if you're going to go around saying you want people to believe in this country that I signed up to die for, then I want to make sure that you're holding that same standard. So not government, not political. Let's not get it confused. I'm saying
I did model Congress in 12th grade. That was fun. We got to go to a college and do mock Congress with other schools. That shit was fun. And this white boy decided to talk about getting rid of I think he actually did want to get rid of affirmative action. All the black students, we was ready, boy. We got at it, boy.
Have you did anything of service that we can point to say he is a good leader, like Chris? And I'm not even a fan of Chris Christie, but he was the student council president in high school. So have you done anything of service besides yourself that has not benefited yourself? It's just a simple question.
So the acts of service that I have performed are small, so small that I don't even want to talk about them to boast. But yes, have I volunteered for this country? Yes, I have. I've always been interested in healthcare.
Talk about it. It's okay.
You hear him. Now he wants to minimize what he's done because he thinks it's not significant. She just pulled you to the carpet. Now you want to say, I'm not trying to brag. That's what you're basically saying. I don't want to brag. Double O Spidey, mock Congress. Yes, it was called Model Congress. So basically you learn how to debate. You learn how to bring bills to the legislature. And it was basically it's an after school thing. And at the end of it, they all took us to Hofstra University with other schools that were doing it, and we had to present our bills. It was fun.
Bethesda North, I mean, these are small things, right? But thank you.
Oh, well, let's just mention it.
Bethesda North Hospital.
So it's really a no?
No, it's not a no. It's just something I don't like boasting about. I volunteer.
We're not boasting. It's an interview. You're boasting on your vision and everything else.
I think
you boasted on the millions of dollars that you made. So let's just throw it out. So in 6th grade, I'll give you an example. I'll help you out. In 6th grade, Miss Harris, was let me give you an example because maybe you're confused. In the 6th grade, Miss Harris was snatching papers from everybody in the classroom. So me as a 10-year-old, I went to the principal and said, I'm tired of Miss Harris snatching papers. And I'll organize the students around getting Miss Harris to stop snatching papers. Now, there was a consequence for that. I got suspended for 5 days for talking back, and I got in trouble. I got a spanking, and I was on punishment for months and months. But that is a simple way of organizing people. So I want you to kind of boast about it the way you did the millions of dollars and said what you did with the pharmaceutical companies. What leadership can you point to that you've been able to rally anybody around anything that is of service that you did not pay anybody to do? I think that's important for the next president of the United States.
Sure. So I've always been drawn to healthcare. That's why I ended up founding companies in that space. When I was in high school, part of what drew me into it was that I was a volunteer at a local hospital. I actually became the leader of that group of volunteers that actually discharged women who had recently given birth. That was it. Nothing big to it.
Did you do anything we can point to stand out?
But I want to say something about.
Huh? What? You went to a hospital and you were the leader of the discharge team? How does that help? Now, if you would have said that you were part of a group that were helping the doctors calm these women down, or you were doing like rape victims who were scared and you were talking to them, I could give you a little bit more credit, but you were part of the discharge team. Huh? Okay. You didn't go around rallying. You didn't. I think I would respect a person who was giving out, election flyers more than being in charge of a discharge team as an example of somebody trying to help their community. But okay, maybe I got it wrong
about that, because I say that in the book. If I'm being really honest, why did I do that in high school? A part of the motivation, I'll be just brutally honest with you, was that's actually what allows you to get into a good college when you graduate. Is
Right.
you want to
So
check
it was
the box
about.
of
So it
community
was
service.
about you.
So
So
there
it
was
was
an
about
element.
self.
So there's that, and I'm admitting that in a way that very few other people do. But I got to be honest about it. That was a big part of why I did it.
Yeah,
Then when
it
I
was about
graduate-
self, and I'm going to be honest, and I'm going
and-
to give it back to the
if-
guys.
if I
I'm
can-
going to be honest about it with you.
Yep.
Leadership is not about self.
I agree
And
with
so
you on that. I
what
agree
I
with you
just
on
heard,
that.
what I just heard is that everything is about you. And to be honest with you, this is just a PR campaign, sir. To be honest with you,
Damn.
and I think you're trying to go further to the right because you want the Republicans to accept you as a man of color. And I think the only way you think you can do that is to be so extreme.
I appreciate your
with
opinion.
with
I
your
love
positions,
it.
and I think you need to do a little bit more work.
Hey, does anybody know if Tezlyn has a Cash App? I need to send her money right now. This was the great. I need to buy her a cup of coffee. This was beautiful. This was beautiful. Vivek in his mind right now.
If you're not careful, I'll give you a look at.
That was beautiful. She basically said politically, you are fake, sir. You are a gimmick. 007 Spidey said, why is Envy even there? He cannot carry a show. He is there because technically it is his show and he has to look like a baby face because he's getting sued right now. But okay.
In service, I'll give it back to
Let
you
me,
guys.
let me,
You
let me,
failed
let
the
me
test,
ask,
by the
because she
way.
did ask me a question, and then you guys said you wanted to hear a response, but I think I heard an expression of opinion. So just I want to make sure you're all done before I respond to it.
Go ahead.
No,
all
just
set?
wanted to say that even then, I would still want you to point out, even at the hospital, something that you did that made you stand out on when actually taking a leadership role. But you already answered it. You said you did it because it was a motivation to get in college.
Exactly,
Which
and,
means
and
it was
I'm being
about
very
you.
honest about that. But
Everything has been about you. So as
Let
a
me-
veteran,
let me
as a
tell you
veteran,
something. I
it's
appreciate
very
this-
hard for me to follow leaders that make everything about them. So you might want to work on that because it's a lot of veterans and Republicans. So you might want to work on that talking point and maybe do some volunteering while you're on the campaign trail. I'm going to give it back to Charlemagne and Envy.
Yeah, I want to be respectful. Want to make sure you got everything you wanted to on the table before I
But
before
no,
I
I got
respond.
Oh, he gonna try to roast? Wait a minute, you gonna roast? Oh no.
Yeah, if this was just
Go
us,
ahead.
it would be a lot more on
You
the
guys
table.
tell me. I'm the guest on your show. You tell me when I'm good to speak.
Go ahead, sir.
Go ahead.
You sure? You sure about that? If we're good.
Yeah, we're sure.
So I think there's a different worldview that we have. And I think the worldview is how one actually makes contributions in a country. I do not believe that there's a separate category of just if you're serving the country and then if you're acting in self-interest, that's somehow sinful or wrong. I reject that vision. To the contrary,
So do you reject Donald Trump doing that? Do you reject DeSantis doing that? Because last I checked, I could be wrong about DeSantis, but I don't think they ever served. I'm just saying. Both of them do things for self. But at least more on Trump than DeSantis. He's at least done things to help people. We saw Trump during 9/11. We saw that. He didn't have to do that. I don't know what the fuck DeSantis did because he's an asshole. But I'm sure one of his dumb Satan fans will come tell me later that he did this, that, and the third, and I'll give him fake flowers. Fuck him. But yeah, sir, what have you done besides take Soros' money? I'm just trying to figure this out.
$2 billion biotech company. It was by developing medicines that save people's lives.
A lot of people say capitalism causes.
Hold on.
About it with you.
Yep.
Hold on.
As a man of color.
Yeah.
Work on that talking point and maybe do some volunteering while you're on the campaign trail. I'm going to give it back to Charlemagne and Envy.
Yeah. I want to be respectful. Want to make sure you got everything you wanted to on the table before I respond to that.
If this was just us, it would be a lot more on
You
the
guys
table.
tell me. I'm the guest on your show. You tell me when I'm good to speak.
Go ahead, sir.
Go ahead.
You sure? You sure about that? If we're good.
Yeah, we're sure.
So I think there's a different worldview that we have. And I think the worldview is how one actually makes contributions in a country. I do not believe that there's a separate category of just if you're serving the country and then if you're acting in self-interest, that that's somehow sinful or wrong. I reject that vision. To the contrary, I think capitalism is the best system known to man to lift people up from poverty. I deeply respect and I thank you for your service to this country. I'm grateful for it. I haven't served the country in the way that you have. But I think that the way you get ahead in capitalism, how did I develop a multi-billion-dollar biotech company? It was by developing medicines that save people's lives.
A lot of people say capitalism causes poverty.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
Okay.
I disagree with that. I think that capitalism demands that you provide something to someone that helps them more than you're actually charging them for it. That's the only way.
That's
the
a
tried
business
and true
model,
way
sir. That's
it
not
is a business
service.
model. It's not, I'm not
That's
saying
not
it's
service.
I'm saying it's
But
having
see,
an impact on a society.
An elected official is service. That's the disconnect.
That's right. So
that you're
now,
missing that they didn't
I'm
teach you.
moving on to there are phases of our lives where we do different things.
Well, you're moving straight all the way up to President of the United States.
You know, I don't view it as a hierarchy. I don't view it as a hierarchy. I don't believe in hierarchies. The hierarchy is the way the bureaucracy works. I don't believe in so we have a difference in opinion.
You also don't believe in service, and that's where we're having a disconnect.
Well, I disagree with you on that. I just disagree with you on that.
I think it's whack that you're proposing to revoke voting rights for 18 to 24-year-olds unless they meet certain qualifications, but you never exercised your rights.
Well,
so long.
So most young people don't, is the whole point.
Well,
so, Charlamagne, let me ask you a question. Do you think the
largest voter turnouts have been over the last couple of elections, few elections?
They still voted at a very low rate. But let me ask you a question. What do you think about high school students being required to pass the civics test? What's your perspective on that?
The one that you proposed?
The one that every immigrant has to pass in order to enter the country. If every high school student has to pass that before they graduate, what's your take on that?
I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Okay, good. Now let me tell you something about the law as it exists today. Men in this country, not women, but men are required by law to register with the Selective Service, age 18 to 25. That's the draft. We don't have a draft, but men have to register. If you don't, they put you in prison. At least they can. It's a criminal offense if you don't. My view is I would decriminalize that. I don't like the government telling you what you can and cannot do. That's not the American way. But if you want to enjoy the civic privilege of voting, then I think it is perfectly legitimate to say you have to at least know something about the country or have served that country, one or the other. Absolutely. Now, I think that what do we actually care about, right? What do we? I mean, we can do the personal attack thing. We care about the country. We care about the country.
The cornerstone of democracy, though.
Voting is the cornerstone of democracy. I have not. Yeah, that's right. And you know, here's the thing. Here's the thing that's different is,
sir, excuse me, because this is important. We have to pause it. This is not a personal attack.
That's okay.
This is you, and I know that as a Republican, you are certainly not soft. So this is not a personal attack.
Yeah,
this
I'm
is
okay with
asking
attacks
about.
too.
This is about asking about your background and how it correlates, how it's relevant to saying you're going to serve this country because. President is actually
so I have been an open book in the last 3 years.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely.
And I'm going page by page.
And I'm saying that I have not.
I'm gonna let you finish.
Yep.
But I want to be clear. It's not an attack.
Okay.
Because you've been an open book, but that doesn't mean I have to like what's on the page.
That's fair
But
enough.
it's not an attack. I'm just reading the book.
Yep.
And so when I hear somebody say you need to get to either pass this test or do some type of service to the country, and I spend hours looking. You were in the Phi Beta Kappa. Did you have a leadership role in college, the honor roll? When somebody sets service as the standard and they've done no service except to themselves, that's a fair question. It's a question.
That's
and you just
so I've been on
question.
I mean, look, I was
It's
on
not
high
an
school.
attack.
I was on high school student council. Yes, absolutely.
Were you a leader? Were you a leader?
I was a vice president of my high school student council. Absolutely. I was the president of the National Honor Society. I can go down the list. It's just that
that's what I was asking you to do. Go down the list. But
so I was a president of the National Honor Society. I was the vice president of my student council. I was a lead amongst the volunteers at the hospital where I served growing up. I was actually a leader in volunteer research over the summers from my senior year.
All of that, but you already admitted all of that was to get it.
Hey, Torian, quick question if you're still in here. When's your upload today? When's your upload time? Because I don't want to impede on that. Let me know.
To college.
Not all of it, but I am admitting it. I think that
I know that's self-service though. I just do you understand the difference between self-service and service?
I think the reality is, and I think we just all have to be more honest. When many high school students are serving today, not all of them, but I think let's smoke it out. I don't like that structure where we actually
No,
mix
and I don't like the
service with
structure.
self-interest.
And I don't like the structure of somebody saying somebody need to give service as a veteran. I don't like the structure of somebody
That's
going
fair,
to the
and we can
highest
disagree.
office of the land and have not served anybody at any time unless it.
Sir, that's one big mistake you just made. I was waiting to get to this part. Sir, you just made a very big mistake. You do not disrespect the veterans. Don't do that. You will lose Republican voters with that statement. I want y'all to hear it again.
Are serving today. Not all of them, but I think let's smoke it out. I don't like that structure where we actually mix
and I don't like the
service with
structure.
self-interest.
And I don't like the structure of somebody saying somebody need to give service as a veteran. I don't like the structure of somebody
That's
going
fair,
to
and
the
we can
highest
disagree.
office of the land and have not served anybody at any time unless it was self-serving. So this is where.
Sir, Vivek, let me help you with this because you're gonna get killed on this at the debate. Trust and believe. The Trump and DeSantis war rooms, they already got this. And Tim Scott. Sir, you never disrespect veterans. Never. I don't care what side of the aisle or the ideological spectrum you fall under, you do not disrespect the veterans. You never do that, especially if you're talking to one. You don't get into an argument with them, you let them get off. If any group of people in this country should be allowed to vote, regardless of what they've done in a past life or what they're going to do in the future, it's the veterans. They go and fight for the ability for you to go and troll black people in Philadelphia. They allow you. They fought and died for you to go to the south side of Chicago and get a haircut and talk to black men and really not listen to what they were saying. They fought and died to protect that cable underneath the Atlantic Ocean, that if they severed it, the internet would be destroyed. So you could make those stupid ass videos about us every 3 days. Do never disrespect the veterans. Never. By the way, July 4th is coming up. You know, White Independence Day. Just throwing that out there. Because, you know, Vivek's on that side, so it would have been nice for him to mention it, but okay.
We just have two different ideologies. And I know your goal was to come here and get into.
Here's my
I know
perspective.
that's why we got different
Remember,
perspections.
two guys, he got to leave in 5 minutes. I know.
I'll let them wrap up.
Let me just say,
and they go envy, He got to protect. He got to protect the black and brown as a light skin. All right.
one thing is here's my vision of the run for presidency. And this is why I say I'm an open book is my job is to make sure people in this country know who I am and what I stand for. And I think that very few politicians on either party actually get that job done. So what I say is I'm an open book about who I am and what I stand for. Whether the people of this country want to vote for me, that's their question, not mine. That's their job to determine, not mine. And you're free not to vote for me. I expect you won't, and that's okay. But I'm doing my job in the 3 books I've written over the last year, in the conversation I'm having with you guys, being far more honest than any politician that I know in the last 10 years in this country. And I think when I say we want to fix corruption, you don't know what the first step is. The first step is actually people being honest. So you guys know me. You know what I stand for. I haven't hit back on that. Whether the people in this country want to vote for it, that's their choice.
Do you want to unite the country?
I do want to unite the country.
So why is like one of your marquee campaign proposals making sure black people can no longer benefit from affirmative action?
See, here's the thing. It's actually been a disastrous experiment over the last 60 years. I've seen the impact that it's had. Unlike a lot of other executives, I've had senior executives in my company who happen to be black, senior executives in my campaign who happen to be black. I actually went to a majority or close to majority black school 1st through 8th grade. There isn't a single one of those black kids or black colleagues that could not have achieved everything I have in my life. I firmly believe that to be true. And I have seen the unfair discrimination behind closed doors, the things that people will say behind closed doors, about somebody who would have had that position anyway, but was unfairly tarred with the taint of saying they got it because of a race-based quota system. I think that's unjust to everyone across the board. And I think that the right way to do this is actually ensure equality of opportunity, educational access at an early age, which, by the way, we don't have in this country, starting at an actual young age.
Lehman, you know who cares about July 4th? White Republicans.
How about doing that in a way that's agnostic to race? That way we prevent seeing one another on the basis of a color of our skin, but we actually solve the real inequalities that we have when it starts with inequality of opportunity, starting with education. So my view is, I think my approach is actually going to be more successful in lifting up more black Americans than have been the Lyndon Johnson approach of actually using race-based quota systems.
So if the Supreme Court does rule on affirmative action and they do ban it, who do you feel it benefits versus who it hurts?
I think that it helps everyone if they end race-based affirmative action in college admissions. I think.
Yeah, it helps everybody. Sir, some of the AAPI, it took them a day, but they figured out that they just royally got screwed. I hope you realize this. I hope you realize this. Your son is going to fall victim to this, but his daddy rich, so he could be okay. Sir, this does not help everybody. The only people it helps are black folks, because we at least have institutions that we can go to away from the PWIs. You're going to be competing, which is what you wanted. You and your people, y'all wanted to go be next to white folk. Now you get to go compete with them same white folk, and you get to see what white supremacy really is. But you'll find that out very soon.
It will literally help everyone in different ways because it restores merit in the United States. Are we perfect in ensuring equality of opportunity? No, we're not. The fact that kids are trapped by the zip code in which they're born, determining where they go to school, is a problem, which is why I favor universal school choice in this country, which has actually done more to help black Americans than has any affirmative action program.
What's your thoughts on people saying that you got Don Lemon fired?
I think that the New York Times reported that. I had an open debate with Don Lemon. What CNN wanted to do with that is their choice. My view is, though, we need to start saying in public the things that people are otherwise saying in private. There's a gap right now in the country. Let's admit it. Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter.
Be careful with that, because a lot of people in your party are going to start saying nigga out loud.
I don't think so, actually. And I would certainly hope not. I would condemn it if they do. I would condemn it if anybody did.
Charlemagne, that was hella random, sir. That was hella random. I didn't get to this part. I cut it off after Tezlyn talk, but Charlemagne, that was hella random. What? All right.
Does. All right. But what I think is we need to close the gap between what people say in private and what they say in public. That allows us to air our differences. And then we actually find unity that way. That's actually what I think unites the country, not creating this culture of hush hush, right? Say one thing in public and a different thing in private. And I do reject Don Lemon's premise. What did he tell me on set? He said, you can disagree with me when you have black skin and you've lived in this country, whatever ethnicity you are.
But
explain
sir,
it to me. I just reject that. I think we should.
Sir, let's just.
That is true, because again, every other race has never gone through what black folks have gone through in this country. Never. You think somebody, Vivek, you think somebody calling you a sand N-word is worse than being fed to alligators? Are you serious right now, sir? You think a Latino being called a wetback is worse or on par with black people being shot just walking down the street by police? Do you think a white woman being called a Karen is on par or worse than, well, according to Marjorie Taylor Greene, it is, but you think that's worse than a black kid being subjected to racism by people that have been put in a position to elevate who they are and help create them to be the next generation of adults? You think being called a Karen is worse than that? See, you get to hide behind God, country, and family. That's why people like you. They don't know you, sir. You haven't become a human being, sir. You've become a politician.
Use a real example of just what everybody said. You said, people can have difference of opinion. They can have, you want to unite people. I gave you a difference of opinion as a veteran, and you came back and said that I was personally attacking you. And that is a way of gaslighting and basically, trying to set the idea that I was against you when I just had, that's the statement you made. And what I'm saying is, instead of us just having the debate, because see, I didn't talk about colors, which you probably expected when you came in here.
I did not.
Well, that's fine. I didn't talk about color. I didn't get all emotional about your vision, because I really wanted to just talk about what you've done in service, because you yourself has raised service as the number one thing that what people need to do in order to participate in the country that my ancestors built. And you said that I personally attacked you. So just to give you some advice, if you're going to say, hey, let's have difference of opinion, let's be able to discuss.
I loved everything you did. I loved the whole thing.
No, you didn't. Don't tell that lie. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Because after she was done, you said, can I respond? Can I respond? You said that with a hell of a tone. But you knew you couldn't really attack her because that's what the left would have used on you. So again, you're not a human being. You're a politician.
I had a question that it was a personal attack because
it was. I don't think a question. I think this is great because you know what I said. What's the job?
Did you say personal attack?
What's the job? Is everybody needs to know who a candidate is and what they stand for. That's the candidate's job. Whether you vote for them or not, that's your choice.
Did you say I personally attacked you, or did I hear it wrong? I just want to make sure.
I did not say you personally attacked me. No, I said we have actual good. I wanted to know whether or not we were actually able to. You said sit around for 20 years. I said I didn't sit around for 20 years, but that's okay. I think that, you know what, if somebody's running for U.S. president, I want to say this.
Well, you can't handle the heat, you stay out of the kitchen. So we'll come in, we can keep going with the personal attacks. You did say personal attacks, though. So let's be honest. Remember, that's your number one thing, being honest.
And I know you have to go, but I do disagree on what you said about affirmative action, because I feel like without that legislation, I don't think black people stand a chance. We had to create the legislation to even have a chance. And I don't know why you have faith that without that legislation, things will be fair or on equal footing for black people.
I think that most people who benefit from affirmative action are the immigrants who came after Kennedy's immigration reform in the 60s. They are not descendants of slaves. They are people who came as immigrants like my parents did. Mm-hmm. And so I just think it is a broken system to say,
whoa, back up a little bit. What? Say that again.
Kennedy's immigration reform in the 60s. They are not descendants of slaves. They are people who came as immigrants like my parents did. Mm-hmm. And so I just think it is a broken system to say that you look like someone to whom a bad thing once happened, and you're going to be favored over someone who looks like someone who once did a bad thing.
You think your parents would have gotten the same shot without that legislation?
I mean, so it turns out that Asian Americans, Indian Americans don't benefit from... You want to take away something
that benefited your parents, which directly benefited you.
See, here's what I'm saying is, whether or not it's in our past, the question is, how do we actually move forward as one nation? And I do not...
You did it yesterday.
Not believe it is with race-based quotas. I believe it is economically empowering all Americans.
I think that legislation was put here to protect people that look like me, people that look like you, and I think you're ridiculous to want to get rid of.
Here's what I would say is Lyndon Johnson's Great Society that this was part of, right? So affirmative action was part of it. There was a broader set of policies designed to help black Americans, I think have been disastrous for black Americans and all Americans. You know,
Well, sir, it wasn't disastrous for you. And what Charlamagne is saying is your parents benefited from it.
They did not. I mean,
he always got to take a shot at us. He always has to take a shot at us. What is this? Who mans is this? Who is prepping him? Damn.
I do not believe it is with race-based quotas. I believe it is economically empowering all Americans.
I think that legislation was put here to protect people that look like me, people that look like you, and I think you're ridiculous to want to get rid of.
Here's what I would say is Lyndon Johnson's Great Society that this was part of, right? So affirmative action was part of it. There was a broader set of policies designed to help black Americans, I think have been disastrous for black Americans and all Americans.
Well, sir, it wasn't disastrous for you. And what Charlemagne is saying is your parents benefited from it.
They did not. I mean, as a point of fact, that's false. Indian Americans do not benefit from affirmative action.
No, that's not as a point of fact. No, that's not as a point of fact, because without the liberties that Black folks have fought for, which has basically immigrants have been able to prosper in this country because of that. But we're not going to go there. Let's just say they benefited from being able to have the freedoms that Black people fought for. That's the bottom line. And in turn, it benefited you. And then your answer a moment ago was, well, let's not talk about stuff in our past. See, once it benefited you, you were able, you moved on.
I want to be honest with you. You guys want to get real? Let's get real. My parents were.
Look at him. That's why the heart of a service. No, sir. Because Black people hadn't fought.
Yeah, we got to get real. My grandparents lived. They lived in a colonial society. Britain colonized where my grandparents lived as well. But I think that I don't do well by seeing myself as a victim of the white man, because actually Great Britain happened to have colonized where my grandparents were actually colonized.
I think you were victim.
That's moving the goalpost.
Oh, God, he just became a victim, family. Tezlyn won. All you vivacious ramen noodles supporters.
But you get on the floor for this clown. He's a bum. He's trash. And you know it. And every time you bring him up, I'm going to let the world know exactly what he is.
Is this your king? Is this your man? Is this your man? Bruh. He can't go a day without mentioning us. Sir, you have a whole political base that does not include us in large numbers. You can appeal to them. But you're turning off that political base because you will not leave us alone. You didn't even, I would expected you to do this if you had gotten the nomination and you needed to get Black folks to cut the Democrat lead. I would expect you to say all what you've been saying the last few months. You haven't even gotten to the first debate yet. And you're alienating Black folks. Like I said, I don't see him passing the first debate. I don't see it.
I don't benefited your parents when they got here.
That's right.
What benefited all of us is the fact that we have a free country, where anybody is free to achieve what they want. I don't know what they came to this country with not a lot of money. What benefited them was hard.
There we go. My parents came here with not a lot of money. Okay, great. A lot of immigrants went through that. Great. And your parents made something so you could have something. Great. That's great. That is wonderful.
Who cares?
What have you done now to elevate the conversation? What have you done to progress the country forward? Running a biotech firm is not it, sir. Brother Torian said, I wouldn't be surprised if he walked out of the debate. No, remember, Envy said he got about 5 minutes. He got to go. He tried to save this man.
Work and dedication. My dad faced layoffs when he was growing up at GE. Right. He went to law school at night to be able to keep his job. What did that teach me?
Affirmative action benefited him?
I don't think affirmative action benefited him. Absolutely not. I think hard work and dedication benefited him. And that's part of what I want to share with all Americans. I want to make this the country where no matter who you are and what your skin color is, you get ahead with your own hard work and commitment and dedication. That you get ahead not on the color of your skin, but
and the feeling that you're not a threat. I love how most immigrants forget to tell people that they don't view you as a threat. That's why they don't like it when you grow up and you become a threat. Sir, you're not a threat. Your parents weren't a threat. This is why Ketanji Brown Jackson is not a threat, because they got her in high school. They already knew who she was. They already knew the stock she came from. She wasn't a threat. You're not a threat, sir. Why do you think they put out that Soros information? Because they know people don't care about you, sir. If that was Trump, that would be on the daily news cycle every day. Come on, sir. We're not going to do this. You're a terrible candidate, but you're a politician, not a human being. Yes. No, she's not half. She is fully Jamaican. Somali against Pan-Africanism. After this show is over, go in my archives. April of last year, I talked with Beatzilla. We played the video. Her mama was talking to Jamaicans down on the island. And you can hear her accent. She was really trying to hide it, but it came out. She is Jamaican.
The content of your character.
He has to go, guys.
And that's what I want for America.
Listen,
one more thing.
There it is. Envy had to say it again. He got to go.
You told a voter that you were open to ending foreign aid to Israel. Then it was reported that it was a misunderstanding. What happened with that?
Yeah, it was that was a false reporting, actually. So I think
you never said that.
No, I did not. I said that I was open to actually a broad strategy of disengagement from the Middle East. Mm-hmm. My general view is we fought a lot of pointless wars for a very long time. Ukraine's the pointless war of the moment. Okay. And I think that the United States needs to disengage from parts of the world if it does not advance American interests. China's the top threat that we face, and we actually need to prioritize that.
No, the top threat is BRICS, but of course, you're going to just keep it on China and Russia. You're not going to mention that South Africa is setting themselves up to be an economic powerhouse. You're not going to mention that even though India right now is the poverty capital, poverty country of the world, they're part of BRICS. You're not going to mention that Brazil just said Bolsonaro cannot run again until 2030, which is highly ironic because it's Agenda 2030, but I'm not supposed to mention that on here. You forget to mention that there's 20 other countries who just submitted their applications to join BRICS. You don't want to mention that. Let's just mention China. All right, sir.
In our foreign policy.
All right. Well, we appreciate you for joining us.
I appreciate you guys having me.
And that was the interview, ladies and gentlemen. That was fun, sometimes fun. But for the folk, before we get up out of here, Quatman, we're going to do this for you because I appreciate what you did. This is the Breakfast Club page with the interview. Look at the like to dislikes. 1.5 thousand likes to 1.1 thousand dislikes. Yeah, we're gonna blow this up. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Boy. Let's see the comments. Now I left a couple while y'all were listening to the video because we've got idiots in here. Island Vibes Virgo. Of course, it would be somebody from the Caribbean to start it off. I always appreciate when Republicans come onto platforms that they know don't support their positions but are willing to engage anyway. I wish we could have gotten into even more detail on certain proposals he had instead of hearing him list his high school achievements. I understand the point Tezlyn was trying to make, but at one point felt combative for no reason since he was open to answering all their questions and got really redundant. He's not the candidate I'm voting for, but I still wanted to hear more of his answers instead of Tez cutting him off. But I thought Charlamagne had a good back and forth with him. Well, Tezlyn is the political face of this. Charlamagne is going to 50-50 ask the right questions. This was a shocking level of hostility and immaturity towards someone willing to come open themselves up to a new audience. Imagine having the opportunity to interview someone who may lead the free world and insisting that the level of service required for the presidency hinges on a petty comparison of what you did in middle school. The fact that Vivek handled it with such grace and aplomb shows commendable mental and verbal agility and bodes well for the real debates later. Man, again, this is somebody that they obviously don't know anything about politics. Are you serious right now? He couldn't handle a closed room. There were only 2 people talking to him. This fool went at a barbershop in Southside Chicago with at least 5 people in there. If he can't handle tough questions from 2 people, Mainly one. How the hell is he going to sit on a stage with at least 8 other candidates and an audience who react to every answer you say? Plus, we're not even going to get into when people jump in to rebut what you said. How the hell is he going to answer that? How's he going to handle that? Boy. All right. This is my first time seeing this show, and I have to say, there you go. It was completely depressing that this level of entitlement, bitterness, and bullheadedness qualifies people to host an influential show for some segment of our population. You mean like when, because he's clearly white.
Who cares?
He's clearly white or another race, but every other race wants to be white. So we'll just say white. Rush Limbaugh, Tucker Carlson, Tulsi Gabbard, who else? All those bullshit podcasts you see on YouTube, do they not cater to a certain population of the people, or some segment? Huh? Does Joe Rogan not cater to some segment of our population? Everybody caters to a segment of our population. There is no one platform that caters to everybody. You can't be this dumb. But I'm figuring you're a white person. And as I said, white people are dumb. It inadvertently proved Vivek's point that nothing can change the country's relentless descent to mediocrity until the education system is restructured, school choice, and our benchmark for civic knowledge and duties is relearned. Sure. Because when black folks attempted that, y'all said no. Y'all took the trades out of our schools. You took civics out of our schools. Because you wanted labor. You didn't want CEOs. Unless you controlled them. African American 5600, got to be a tether. She loves to hear herself talk. She's unnecessarily overly confrontational and combative. She most definitely didn't answer questions with intent for an answer. She's the one all about self. We deserve to hear his ideologies and ideas for positive progressive change. Then maybe you should go follow him and ask him that. But again, Tezlyn Figaro's job, if you don't know, she coaches potential political candidates and people that are going to go out there and do the political work. You're going to have to handle this. When she coaches these street teams, I don't really want to call them street teams, but for lack of a better term, when she coaches these street teams to go out there and try to sell candidates, people are going to be like this. They're going to be hostile, especially if they're going to do the GOP thing. They're going to be hostile. They're going to want to ask questions. They're going to be like, why is your boss here? Why is the person you're campaigning for not here? They have to be able to stand on that. They have to be able to articulate that person's platform in their stead. I'm sorry. This is what Tezlyn does. If you can't handle her, how are you going to handle people that are not in her tax bracket? People that are over her tax bracket. How are you going to handle them? Because it doesn't matter how much money you make. We all got the same problems. Except if you're black, we got way more problems. But in terms of voting for people, we have essentially similar problems. They're going to ask them questions. You've got to be able to stand in front of them, and they can't smell fear on you because they will eat you alive. But okay. Great job, Vivek. Handle that hostility with class. So we're going to play the hostility card. All right, cool. I think Vivek did a really great job. Not a lot of Republicans have the courage to come on to shows like The Breakfast Club. He's making his voice heard by diverse audiences, not just conservative audiences. Okay. I don't know. All right. I wonder if this would have been the same thing if they talked to DeSantis or Trump. I wonder if this would have been the same thing. I wonder if this would have been Tim Scott. We'll aim low. If this was Tim Scott, I wonder if these type of comments would have been the same thing. I wonder. I already know the answer, but thanks, Vivek, for standing your ground. Tezlyn is talking loud without making a point. She actually made several points, but okay. You went in and report your teacher and round up your classmate, and you call that service. Compared to someone that has saved lives doing his contribution to the society. And yes, he made money off it. You personally attacked him. I can't understand how we are still in these mindsets of racism. Boy, here we go. I'm black and I see, yeah, all right. I'm black and I see immigrants coming from other countries and succeed in this country, but we black. Damn. What I tell you about the American racists, they'll say something within 10 seconds on themselves. We blacks. What black person says we blacks? But all right, tell on yourself. We blacks keep blaming everyone and everything on racism. I think our ancestors are sad about this narrative because they expect us to stop blaming others and believe in ourselves by creating or becoming successful. I'm just tired of hearing because I'm like black narrative. You're an idiot. Our ancestors are looking down on us because we're continuing the fight. Most of our ancestors didn't keel over. Most of our ancestors fought back. The fuck are you talking about? Intelligent answer. Thank you. You get it. Oh, God. All right. I appreciate that this conversation took place. I agree that the president's role is a service role, but let's face it, we've had many who serve from the local government up to president who are self-serving. I think the opposite is true. Many learn the system by serving in government, and by the time they take the role as president VP. All right. And it goes on and on and on. You stood your ground, Vivek, despite all of Tezlyn's gaslighting and talking over. Hope you come back with more lively debates. He's going to see this in 52 days. 53 days. He's going to see people talking over him. He's going to see when he says something, somebody's going to challenge him on it. We know Trump. He petty. He going to bring out the big screen. If he can't, again, I'm going to say it again, and we're going to get off the screen. If he can't handle 2 people in a fucking room, how is he going to handle thousands of people as an audience and 8 to 10 other candidates? The hell are you? Oh my God. All right, folks. They got it. He got it. He's going to miss the first. He's going to lose the first debate, bow out, and then he's going to try to get a job. They don't get it. But let's ask the family before we get up out of here. I saw the poll. That poll was wild. But just for preference and for posterity, who won the debate? If it was Tezlyn, put a 1. If it was Vivek, put 2. And then we're going to get up out of here because I got to head to the plantation soon. Tezlyn. I think we can all sum this up in one clip.
Oh my God, bro. We gonna keep this? Nigga.
She cooked that man. She cooked that man. Whew. Whew.
Bro, what you on?
Woof. They go Bunker TV got to be different. He got to put 7. Nah, CRU, that really was a debate. I know they classified it as an interview, but it turned into a debate. because again, even the moderators at these debates now, they ask questions after these candidates say something. Yeah, you got to watch it. You got to watch it. You got to look at his body language. I'm telling you, if y'all watch it again on their site, I know you're gonna give him the view, but look at his body language when Tezlyn started asking him questions. I didn't want to play here because I know Paramount fuck around and flag the video. But y'all got to look at his body language. Isn't politics fun, family? I told y'all we can make it fun. And shout out to the 88 people in there. Make sure you hit the like button, share it to your social medias. And August 23rd, myself and Blacklight, we're going to be live streaming the damn first debate. I'm telling you, family, it is going to be straight comedy that night. I can already feel it. The food will be catered, cooked by me. We will have the outfit. I have an outfit in mind. I have to start getting it together. I got an outfit. Y'all gonna love the outfit. Oh my God. No, CRU, he's qualified. He's qualified. He's exactly what the GOP likes. Somebody that made money that wants to make change from inside. That's what he like. They like their rich. They like their rich crash test dummies. They like them. Yes, we know it's in Milwaukee, 007. We know it's in Milwaukee. We know. And it's gonna be fun. I wonder if Mandela Barnes is gonna be an usher. Damn, that was wrong. I shouldn't have said that. He mad at me now, folk.
When I see you, nigga, it's gonna be on. I want you to know that. Because you call me on the phone and you saying all this, and then you get on the live stream and you playing this shit. You should be ashamed of yourself. Is
that black on black crowd? That ended never not be funny. Bucket TV said the caste system of India is joining with the race caste system of us. Yeah, well, that ain't gonna work no more. Lisa, hello. When a person is not answering genuinely, then it's okay to interject. Yes. It's not the same as cutting off. No. Because you cannot have it descending into chaos or a self-serving agenda, even though that's what this man said. He didn't want to do that. He didn't want to be self-serving. But okay. All right, family. That was fun. I'm going to get ready to go to the plantation. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Check out Torian's video at 4:00. Also, my upload will be at 6:00. And after that, check out For the Record TV. I don't know if they're going to be on today. They probably will be. Check them out. They're a great channel. They're almost at 1,000. So let them know that Kid Gravity Beyond sent you over. And like I said, August 23rd is going to be a fun night. So make sure you're here and have your notes ready because there's going to be a lot. Afro Lee, good morning. Hope the air quality is good in your city today. All right, I'm out of here. Take care, stay safe, and y'all know what to do when the agitators of peace come to mess up your existence.